What an interesting game. The rain was pouring, but this game was indeed not boring because Brock Purdy and the 49ers were actually in a pretty intense battle against Jordan Love and the very, very young Green Bay Packers. This game ended up, unfortunately, for at least my pick, I picked the Packers in this one, a missed field goal, and then Jordan Love trying to play hero ball threw a very bad pass, which led to an interception that sealed the game for the 49ers. Brock Purdy, not a phenomenal game, but he did lead his game-winning drive in the playoffs. CMC ran it in, though. It was an effective last drive. He went 6 of 7 for 47 yards. It's impressive stuff through and through. I want to know, what was your takeaway from the 49ers win over Green Bay?
No, the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter was the difference. I mean, the Green Bay was ahead 21-14 at the end of the third quarter, and they didn't score a point in the fourth quarter. They lost 24-21 because the 49ers scored 10 points in the fourth quarter. Brock Purdy led that long drive. He was 6 for 7 on that final drive. McCaffrey ran it in for the touchdown. They got a field goal in the fourth quarter. That was it. So, Green Bay had a chance there at the very end with about a minute left. And I think they had a timeout or two, maybe. I can't remember. Did they have a timeout? I think they did have a timeout, but before they could use it, Jordan Love threw the ball across the field unadvisedly, and it was intercepted. I think on that play, should have thrown it out of bounds, right? They still had about 50 seconds left, and or he could have run for the first down.
They had 2 timeouts at that time.
He could have run he should have run as close as he could have got to the first down. They could have burned one of their timeouts. I think that obviously that was a mistake, but I still think Jordan Love is their franchise quarterback, and so far when you look back at Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, where they were in their careers when they took over as the starting quarterback, and what Jordan Love has done, I'd say Love has outplayed them, both of them. And that's a good sign for the Packers. We'll see what they do next year. And as for the 49ers, they came out a little, I'd say they came out a little slow, too, out of that game. They've been on the bye week. They took them a while to get going. The game was in question all the way to the end until Love threw that interception. The game was still in question. Purdy was, I'll go through the stats here. Love 21 of 34, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns, but unfortunately 2 interceptions and one that ended the game there with less than a minute left. Purdy 23 of 39, 252, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Played well. Green Bay, total yards, 320, 49ers, 356, pretty close there. I went through the passing yards. The rushing yards, very close too. Green Bay, 136, 49ers, 111. McCaffrey had almost 100 yards. The difference between the rushing for the 49ers and Green Bay was that McCaffrey scored 2 DDs. Aaron Jones, who had 108 yards on 18 carries, didn't score any. So they didn't get any scoring on the ground. All in all, it was a fun game to watch, very close. I think the 49ers fans are pretty scared right up until the end there. But they're on to the NFC Championship game, and we'll see what happens next week.
So, I don't know if this is allowed just based on the fans' perspective, but am I allowed to be unimpressed with this performance? Because I was, big time. I was very unimpressed with the 49ers in this game, and it's not because I picked the Packers to win. No, not at all. You could talk about the last drive, and Brock Purdy, I'll give it to him. He was effective. He was efficient. He didn't put up gaudy numbers, 6 of 7, 47 yards, whatever the case may be. He wasn't, 6 of 7 for 75 yards and a touchdown. But he was efficient. He was effective. He made a couple nice throws, and then CMC ran it in. But if we're talking about basically the entire game, I was very unimpressed with the 49ers. First off, Brock Purdy, I'm going to show it here. This is one of the two. The most obvious one of the two. He had almost 2 very bad interceptions here. This one was, unquestionably the worst throw he probably made all day. This one would have been a pick 6 easy. Darnell Savage, that's why you don't play receiver, you play cornerback. Because any receiver, and I guarantee you, they play the Lions next week, Brian Branch would catch that. C.J. Gardner-Johnson would catch that. A lot of other cornerbacks that are, starters in the league, they would catch that. But in the rain, Darnell Savage, maybe I can understand why he didn't catch that. Brock Purdy was underthrowing screen passes to CMC. Through the entire first 8 drives, which is basically the entire game, he went 17 of 34 for 205 yards with an 83.5 passer rating. That is below average. That's basically, it's 50% completion percentage and 205 yards. And this guy was, favored to be MVP, and people still think that. He was missing a lot of open receivers. Kittle too far right. It's too high. It's too low. It's too far left. He was missing people all around. The Packers' rush defense, which, by the way, the 49ers, I believe, had the 3rd best running offense in the league. Packers had the 28th rush defense. They held the 49ers to their 3rd fewest rushing yards in the entire season, which includes the playoffs. They outran the 49ers, which has only happened 4 times to the Niners this season. There was a very early in the game, I believe it was 7-3, or it might have been 3-0, when the Packers on a 2nd and 1, or it was the 3rd and 1, pardon me. They tried to get for the first down, and the spot was horrible. You could clearly see, if you look down the sideline cam, that it went over the line. I believe it was Jordan Love did a QB sneak and it went over the line. They placed him back a yard, 4th and 1. They decided to go for it. That's 7 or 3 points taken off the board. So that bad spot led to a turnover on downs. Then, this is what's fascinating. I can't believe Matt LaFleur said this. When talking about his rookie kicker, he was asked how he feels about him. He says, and I quote, "Every time he goes out there, I just pray." You're saying that about a player on your team, a rookie on your team. So that already sets him up for, oh my God, this guy isn't good. Now, he's not as bad as Patriot kicker Chad Ryland, but yeah, he was pretty bad. It changes basically the outlook of the game very late, because then, guess what? Jordan Love isn't driving to win and tie the game. He's winning, or he's driving to try to win the game, period. The score is tied. The Packers outplayed the 49ers basically in every facet of the game. Defense slowing down CMC, slowing down Brock Purdy, making him seem pedestrian. The offense, the numbers don't look great, but Jordan Love was pretty effective. He had 1 bad interception early, and then that 2nd interception, I think that was a bad decision. I think it was a bad call to pass the ball. You had 2 timeouts, about a minute left. I'd run the ball just to get the first down. You call a timeout, and I think that takes care of itself. But I was very unimpressed with the 49ers in this game. Defense lackluster, offense not great. The Packers look better than you. And now you're going up against an extremely hungry Lions team. The Packers don't have a great defense. They were very lackluster during the regular season. They stepped it up a little bit in the postseason. The Lions, I would say, similar thing. Their passing defense still seems like, you can get them pretty easily. But I really just think that this was not a great performance. If you're talking about Brock Purdy for MVP, I once again, this is another performance of,
well, do you think
yikes.
The injury to Deebo Samuel's hurt them?
I think it does hurt them, because I think Kyle Shanahan is very drawn into his call sheet, his ideology, and to adjust, I think he doesn't do very well, because we had to take this into account. 0-30 before this game, when losing by 5 or more in the 4th quarter. So he's very dialed into his plays. He doesn't like to go off
Well, they managed
script.
to win this one. They were behind by 7 in the 4th quarter.
If it wasn't for a missed field
3.
goal, if it wasn't for a missed field goal, we don't know what would happen in overtime. We have no idea.
Yeah.
I think probably based on how the game looked, the Packers defense looked exhausted. You could say if the 49ers got the ball, they would just run down there and score a touchdown. Maybe. I'll give you that. But we won't know. I was impressed with the way the Packers kept this game so close. And the fact that, by the way, the 49ers, this is not like some, oh my God, they were 2.5-point favorites. They were 6.5-point favorites against the youngest team in the NFL. Average age like 25 years old, against a lot of rookies. And this was a 3-point game. Should have been tied and, going into overtime. Or maybe Jordan Love drives down there and kicks a field goal, whatever. But I was very unimpressed. If we're talking about this is the next great quarterback, if he's been getting comparisons since his rookie year, about Kurt Warner and Tom Brady and intangibles of a Patrick Mahomes. Well, I didn't see that in this game. I saw terrible missed throws. I saw a lot of just very
he did get lucky.
That
first one, it was lucky. It wasn't intercepted.
And that's another thing, right?
That would have been a game changer right there, right? I mean, the intercept for a pick six.
Yeah.
Then the Packers would have been up 14-0.
Complete game changer.
Oh no, they would have been up 10-0.
10-0.
They would have been up 10-0. Yeah.
And that maybe could snowball. Because we saw that against the Ravens are a much better team than the Packers, but we saw that against the Ravens. Where early interception, that was the first drive, and it might have been the first throw. Where if you return that for a pick six, that gets into your head.
Yeah.
That could create a snowball effect, especially with the way this team
Purdy
is built off the momentum.
He got hurt in that game as well.
What, the
Ravens game?
Ravens, yeah, well, I don't know. We can't be making a big excuse. He threw 4 interceptions. He threw 4 picks. But, there were 2 horrible throws. One directly to Darnell Savage. And I think the other one might have been Darnell Savage as well that could have picked it off. I was very unimpressed. This looked like what we saw against the Ravens, where Brock Purdy, I don't have the number anymore up, but him throwing interceptions. We talk about Dak Prescott throwing games away. In the 4 losses that the 49ers have had, it's 3 touchdowns to 11 turnovers. He throws the game away. He has 2 fumbles, I believe, and 9 interceptions, but
we'll see how he does next week.
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be surprisingly difficult. I believe, once again, the 49ers are 6.5-point favorites. I don't have the updated number. I believe that's what they opened with. It's going to be interesting to see just how the 49ers stack up against a very, very hungry Lions team. Because, I don't know. This Lions team is interesting. We're going to talk about it next. But, I mean, am I allowed to be unimpressed? People are saying this is one of the all-time great performances of Brock Purdy, fighting through adversity. Game-winning drive. First time Kyle Shanahan down by 5 or more, and he comes back.
Well, that's an important stat, right? Before that, it was 0-30, and Purdy engineered the drive that got him the touchdown. So,
I mean,
I would say that is important, and he did engineer another drive that got him a field goal too.
If I'm not mistaken, Debo got hurt pretty early in the game, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brock Purdy looked like a different quarterback. He looks like a different quarterback when he loses the I believe he's number 1 or number 2.
I wonder if
yards
Debo,
after the catch per reception.
Will Debo be playing on Sunday? I wonder.
The report is he has a 50-50 chance. If Debo's out, this is a guy who's first or second, I don't know the exact number, I forget it, in yards after the catch per reception. And we know that, Jimmy G loved his yards after the catch. Brock Purdy, we look at it. Guys are wide open. He loves his yards after the catch. Debo Samuel eats yards after the catch. I think it's like 8.7 yards after the catch per reception. So he's getting basically nearly a first down after catching the football. So that's going to be a big loss. Because now, George Kittle, he had a great game. Great game. Juwan Jennings, great game. Brandon Ayuk had a couple nice catches in there.
They were fighting the whole game, too. Did you see all the skirmishes that broke out between the players? Yeah. They were grabbing each other's face masks and pushing each other around and the trash talking the whole game. I mean, it was
heat of competition.
Yeah,
I love it. I love playoff football. People, roughhousing, get into fights. I don't know. I like the MLB brawls. I love that. Hockey, you're allowed to punch the crap out of one another. I don't
understand that.
It's weird.
I'm not for that.
But good. How about this? I just said I was unimpressed. Good for the 49ers. You move on to another NFC Championship game with Brock Purdy. We'll have to wait and see just how you perform. You should. Against a very bad passing defense, you should excel. But we'll have to wait and see. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.